Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 16 of the Smokin' Weed and Talkin' MMA podcast. My name is Jarrod. I'm here with my good friend Paul.
What up?
He just took a fat hit of some Tropicana Cookies, which we are smoking on today, which this is a pretty fun strain. We got this, which has a very orangey aftertaste. We've also got an orange Tangerine shatter today, made by our friends over at OMG THC.
You definitely taste like the orange in the back of your throat.
Yeah, so we're getting the double orange on this one. Tropicana Cookies, this is a cool strain because it's a hybrid. It leans towards sativa, but I bought this for a specific reason. Terpenes. Now, if you're unfamiliar with terpenes, they're the essential oils that appear not only in cannabis, but in a lot of other fruits and vegetables. But in cannabis specifically, the main one is called myrcene, and it is responsible for giving you that kind of couch lock feeling, making you very tired and sleepy. So when you live in a state like Nevada, or any other medical state, most of them do full labeling. They have full lab testing on all marijuana products out here. So we get a terpene profile of the top 3 in any strain that we purchase. So I specifically avoid, when we're doing the show and other things, strains that have the myrcene in them. So that way we don't sit here and get glued to the chair and tired and spacey while we're smoking. So that's a little bit of a tip for you there.
Eventually happens, but it's...
Eventually it might happen, but this is a cool strain. It's Tangy crossed with a Girl Scout cookies, so it's got a real strong orange aftertaste. And then this shatter here we got for this beautiful dab rig. If you're watching on camera behind us there, this is pretty cool. This was given to me by the guys over at OMG THC, and it has probably got the best orange flavor I've ever had.
They have really good taste to them.
Yeah, this is grain alcohol extracted, no butane.
Yeah.
So there's you don't have to worry about anything left over in this if you're doing like from the extraction methods, no chemicals left in there. And it's weird, it doesn't have a strong taste like on the initial when you're inhaling.
Yeah, you don't taste it when you inhale, but like the aftertaste, like after you exhale, it's like whoa.
Yeah, it hits you like you just ate it like a piece of orange rind or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So we're liking that a lot. And we got some kind of exciting news, at least for us here on the podcast. As many of you know, Paul's background's in wrestling, and my background is in boxing. And we've been invited to do a boxing column weekly for the upcoming Slugfest magazine, which we've got the first one out, came out last week. And so we're going to start incorporating a little bit more boxing into the podcast, which, like you were saying earlier, Paul, it's a mixed martial art anyways,
Yeah,
right?
this is mixed martial arts. We're not SWAT UFC. We're not SWAT freaking Bellator. You know, we're
right.
Any mixed martial art, any kind of combat sport. I mean, we talk about wrestling sometimes. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, why not?
So we're pretty excited to be doing this. I've got a long background in amateur boxing, and if you want to check the articles out, it's at slugfestmagazine.com. The magazine itself doesn't launch for about another 100 days or so, but ours are some of the very first articles that'll start appearing on there.
We'll be online.
Yeah, it'll be online for now, and it's an offshoot, or it's owned by Latavia Robertson, who is the co-founder of Destiny's Child. Her and her team have put this together because she's getting into boxing managing right now. She's actually got 2 gyms training fighters at. Uppercuts, and another gym with Jesse James Leha running it. So she's making some exciting moves, and we're excited to see where that goes, and happy to be a part of the team over at Slugfest Magazine.
Yeah, definitely.
And shit, with that announcement, man, let's talk about. We've got a major
boxing, man.
We've got a major heavyweight title fight coming up next weekend. Yeah, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Now, there's some history here we should probably give people if they're not aware somehow of this magnitude of a fight that's coming up.
We could even go back to as far as this fight originally was supposed to be Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, and then, of course, if you don't know, there was a lot of contract negotiations where people were saying things on both sides about other guys, and then ultimately fell apart, and then ended up into really what's Tyson Fury's return almost. I mean, I know he's had a couple warm-up fights
here since he's come back. He's
dude, we were just watching the other day, there's like compared to his last fight to this, he looks like he's probably lost 100, 150 pounds.
Yeah, it's there's quite a story between both of these fighters.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyson Fury was the champ. He beat Vladimir Klitschko, almost 3 years ago now?
Something like that, yeah.
And then afterward went on a very public downward spiral, was stripped of several titles.
He's dealt with a lot of mental health issues.
And he's openly talked about it, so there's no reason we can't. He's talked about battling alcoholism, drug addiction, severe mental issues.
Said he tried to kill himself.
Ballooned up over 400 pounds. Just a very public fall from grace.
Yeah, and I mean, and he talks about it a lot, and he said that he's just... One thing that he always says is he had this one goal in life, like as coming up as an amateur and stuff, and it was to beat Klitschko. And then like once he got there, he just like didn't know where to go from there.
Right.
He just kind of, I mean, it sounds like mental health issues are serious, man. It doesn't matter if you're Joe Blow or you're the heavyweight champion of the world.
No, it affects everybody, and it's nothing to be ashamed of when it does. Like everybody has to deal with that kind of shit. Well,
and it's one of those things though that at the time that he was going through it was. Like now, if he were to go through it now, there's a lot more people kind of in there. Like
there's been a bit more surge in acceptance and public,
of course,
public disclosure of people that everyone kind of goes through this type of shit.
But then he kind of just like he said that all he really turned to was drugs and alcohol to get the thoughts and all the bad things out of his mind, and then obviously.
Yeah, if you want more info on that, you can go on Joe Rogan's podcast. He sat down and did on his MMA show. He did
it's a short one, but it's a real good one.
Yeah, it's about an hour
Gets
long.
straight to the point. He talks about everything.
It's a hell of a story. It's a hell of a comeback. He is.
Well, he went from 400 pounds. He said he was sitting on his couch, and Deontay Wilder was asked about him in an interview, and he said that he thought Tyson Fury could never come back. Like, look at him now. Like, I think he's done. He should just hang him up. And then he said that's what got him to get off his ass and get it moving. And he said that since that happened, he's just been so goal oriented. It's kept his mind off the bad stuff and just his mind on goals, which is ultimately what a lot of people say is,
dude, it takes a lot of strength to publicly go through that kind of shit and then make that kind of comeback
think
like
about
he's
it this
doing.
Way too, with all the media they're doing for this fight, he's getting asked about this on a daily basis.
Hell yeah, he is. And he's having the strength to openly deal with it. Like, a lot of people don't have that. There's a lot of people have that shame. Yeah, hell yeah. That's great, man. Yeah. I really like it. And this is an important fight. I mean, he's undefeated. He never lost his titles in the ring.
This is basically a unification bout.
Basically. Like, technically, it's not.
He was lineal champion.
It's a lineal unification title. Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, in the guy.
They're undefeated.
Deontay Wilder is
and then on the other side, Deontay
40-0, 39 KOs, and the one person he didn't knock out the first time, he went back and knocked out the second time they fought. So he's knocked out every single person he's ever fought.
Every single man who stepped in there.
These are a couple of huge men. They're both undefeated. Tyson Fury stands 6'9". Deontay Wilder is 6'7".
And they both have great fucking stories, dude. If you guys have a chance, go watch the Showtime little
behind the scenes. I forget what it's called.
But it is great, dude. It shows their entire background. Deontay Wilder didn't start fucking boxing till he was 20 years old.
20 years old.
He was a D1 football player at Alabama.
And he's 31 right now, and he's the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, of course, it ended up because of family reasons and stuff. He needed to make money and started boxing. Ultimately, medals at the Olympics and. Fucking now he's world champion.
It's an amazing story. It's so difficult and unusual. Like mixed martial arts, which we talk about mostly on here, it's not that unusual for someone to come in late into life and to go on to success. Boxing's a whole different fucking world, man. So different. That's not the same. Yeah. And somebody coming in at age 20. At age
20, he's what, 31 now? 31, so he's what, 11 years in the game?
11 years in.
11 years in the game, and he's 40 and 0, dude. Like, get the fuck out of here. He's a brawler though, dude. He's like a lightweight who's like in his mind, but he's a heavyweight in his body style. You know what I mean? Like he fights like a lightweight. He doesn't give a fuck.
He does, very unorthodox, pretty wild. Lives up to the last name of Wilder.
I see why they call him the Bomb Squad though, dude. He's got fucking bombs.
Absolutely.
Like, bombs, yo. Like, he doesn't even have to hit you clean, and he's KOing people.
And he needs this fight to help not legitimize, but
yeah.
he needs to beat another great fighter. He needs that marquee name on that resume to be like, boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, just like Fury beat Klitschko.
You know who
Wilder doesn't have that name.
Here's the thing. This is a win-win for both fighters. Because when you look at this, Anthony Joshua, he's got some backlash towards him now because everyone on Wilder's side, including Steven Espinoza, says that they repeatedly offered Joshua the fight and repeatedly answered all his demands, and he still declined the fight. I mean, I don't know behind the scenes what goes on, but
publicly that's a bad look.
that just looks terrible on you, So I think it's kind of a win-win for both these guys, Fury and Wilder, because if it's a great fight, then you have Joshua kind of being missing out on possibly one of the biggest fights ever. Mm-hmm. Let's say Wilder has one of the craziest performances, but it still ends up like losing somehow. Now Wilder's kind of reduced down, where you could have had a great fight with a great fighter. Mm-hmm. Obviously Tyson Fury and Joshua is still a great fight, but I think Fury and Wilder is a bigger fight. Fury and Wilder turned out being a bigger fight than Joshua. You know what I mean? Because Joshua,
the two stories are just so much better. And Joshua's, he's missing out. Now, there's a date, from what I understand, there's a date reserved in March at Wembley Stadium, which could possibly go to the winner of this fight.
It really depends on how
but
this
that's not a
goes.
for sure thing.
Yeah,
that depends a lot. They've talked about it's already been offered to Wilder if he wins, but I don't think that they've made that offer to Fury if he wins. But we'll see. A lot of that's just bullshit.
I don't think he wants to fight Fury, man. I don't think he wants Fury.
Boxing's just like mixed martial arts. You can't believe anything any of the fucking fighters or the promoters
Boxing's so different, though, because boxing's like the only sport where you can pretty much openly decline fights and not have no repercussions.
Yeah.
Like, if you openly decline a fight in the obviously.
I mean, they got the Ali Act protecting them.
Of course.
But not like the UFC where they're
my
fake
thing is,
free
though,
agents.
Yeah, because they're really not owned by anybody. You look at all the other sports,
in this case, but they're fake independent contractors in the UFC.
Well, in all other sports, though, you look at it. We can even go to the NFL, and everyone's freaking out about Le'Veon Bell sitting out this season. So it's like boxing's the only place you can MMA. You do the same thing. Same thing happened with Yair Rodriguez when he turned down the fucking.
Oh yeah, vilified. He turned down the.
They cut him. They literally
he turned down the Ricardo Lamas fight.
Yeah.
Right, and they said nope. The UFC literally cut him for turning it down.
It's ridiculous.
Well, that's the difference, though.
So it's like
the UFC, technically, they're independent contractors, but in reality, they're employees. Everybody knows this.
All sports, really.
Well, yeah, but boxing's a bit different. I mean, look,
it's
they
just
can
funny
even
how nowadays everyone
on this stuff.
It's just so funny though because no one really taught although Joshua faced a little bit of backlash, he still got a whole country behind him. You know what I mean? And so it's like these guys don't face too much backlash for turning down fights, but everyone in every other sport, you turn down a fight, turn down a contract, turn down anything else, you're fucking stupid and you're the laughing stock of every fucking sports channel on cable. You know what I mean? So it's just weird how that happens.
No, and on the reverse side in boxing, you take a loss and it really puts a fucking damper on your future.
Exactly.
Whereas in mixed martial arts,
it's almost
no big
college
deal.
Football. it's like college football. You can't
MMA,
lose.
you lose. You could lose, win another fight, and be the champ, and nobody gives a shit.
A lot of boxers.
People give a shit, but it's not like boxing where just your career can get completely derailed.
Look at Canelo and Triple G. Now, Triple G probably doesn't really have many more options.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny, the difference between the two worlds. But let's get back to this. Who you like in a fight? I mean, people can read about it in our article, which we're going to be posting.
I'm taking Fury.
Fury by decision.
Fury by decision.
I'm right there with you too. I think it's going to be a great fight, like everybody else does. But I think ultimately Fury's going to continue his win.
Yeah. My thing is too is Fury's style is so tailor-made to beat Wilder.
He's very technical.
He has
a lot of punches.
Where we were speaking about earlier, how Wilder is like a lightweight is one of his strengths. I almost feel like in this fight it's going to be one of his weaknesses because he's very comfortable fighting off the ropes. He's very comfortable fighting in the corners, and that is not where you want to be with Tyson Fury.
No, you don't want to get kind of trapped in there because Fury fights.
Because it's not
kind of like wide in a way.
Well, and here's the thing too: is it's not Tyson Fury's punching power is what's going to scare you in those corners. It's going to be his volume is what's going to scare you. You know what I mean?
And then that
it's
precision,
like, you can't win a decision against him when a guy's just fucking pummeling you. You know, he's done that to countless fighters. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think ultimately Fury gets it done.
I think he does too. And this is the first. It's not the first time, but I'm pretty excited for this fight. And I don't get really too excited for a lot of boxing matches these days. I mean, honestly, but it's been on a bit of an upswing here. All the boxing in general seems to be more of an upswing. We're getting some more exciting fights finally.
Well, we had another exciting boxing match announced recently.
We did. We had Pacquiao Broner, right? Yeah.
It's kind of a funny one. I mean, that press conference was hilarious.
Yeah, that was something, right?
It was hilarious. Like, Pacquiao didn't even know what to do, man. He just was like laughing his ass off the whole time. You see their face off? They like couldn't look each other in the eyes, man. But honestly, I think the winner of this might get Floyd out of bed.
If it's a great fight, that could happen. Floyd's
just
looking
because
for
I
something.
mean, everyone knows Pacquiao's past with Floyd and losing to him and the whole shoulder injury, and he was not at his best, all that stuff.
And everybody's dissatisfaction with that fight after it happened.
So I mean, although if they do it again, I mean that'll probably still be big. But I mean, now you got Pacquiao coming off losses to Horn, and it's just like
But look, Floyd already tested the waters with this. He announced,
he
like
said
3 weeks ago, he said he's fighting Pacquiao in December, and then there wasn't much of a
and now he's
reaction from
fighting
anybody.
some kickboxer and Ryzen.
He's doing a fake exhibition fight.
But who
Rise in MMA?
He's like,
supposedly.
people need to stop
We'll see.
calling it a fight. What the fuck? What do you mean? People need to stop calling it a fight. But it's funny. But then another guy's got a huge pass with Adrien Broner, which they used to ride with each other. They used to be their homies, and now they kind of got in each other's way as as their careers progressed, and now they talk shit back and forth. And I mean, even Broner in the press conference goes, "Fuck Floyd Mayweather. This ain't about Floyd Mayweather." You know what I mean? So it's like
whoever wins here, it sets something up for Floyd, which is likely going to.
Well, and also, although Broner is like, the best part would be the shit talk. Honestly, everyone wants to see him and Floyd go back and forth with the shit talk, and I think if he puts on a good performance against Pacquiao, I mean, Floyd's all about the money, man. And
absolutely.
Everyone loves a good shit talking, good shit talk to build a huge pay-per-view. And Floyd's known for huge pay-per-views, you know what I mean? So,
and he's obviously looking to get another payday here.
And ultimately, Pacquiao's past his prime, dude. He's not. He just doesn't have what he used to.
Well, and so is Floyd, for that matter. But he's still Floyd.
Yeah, Floyd still has enough to get it done. I don't think Pacquiao has enough to get it done anymore. And that's why I'm picking Broner. I'm gonna go. I'm either gonna go maybe like a 10th round TKO or decision. One of the two.
I like Broner in the fight too. I mean, my heart wishes Pacquiao would get a win, but reality says you're probably correct with that pick. I can't go against it.
Here's the thing: is where Pacquiao is all the traits of a fighter that, as they age, their traits that were their best start to age as well. Once you get older, you just don't have those hands you used to. You don't have those. You don't have the power in the hands that Pacquiao used to have. Those punches that used to put people down aren't putting people down anymore, and that's a big problem when you're a boxer. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And a boxer of Pacquiao's level, because there's really you can't go down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't fight nobodies anymore.
No.
You can't fight people that.
The last time he tried that, Jeff Horn wasn't much of anybody. He did try that route. That didn't work out so well. That's
what I'm saying, though. Like, you can't really fight nobodies because, like, it happened with Horn. He fucking shot Horn into the sun and then fucking got too close and got burned. You know what I'm saying? So all these people that Pacquiao's gonna fight, they need to be high level fighters, because if he fights some low level dude and loses like he did with Horn, it's just an asterisk on his legacy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's some pretty cool fights coming up, man.
Yeah.
But here, let's shift, since we're talking about Pacquiao's no youngster and Floyd's 41. let's shift it to MMA. We're talking about older fighters here. We had a couple of guys last night in mixed martial arts fight and I use that term very loosely when I say fight in retrospective. Chuck Liddell, as Oscar de la Hoya refers to him. It's Chuck Liddell. You might remember that name from a decade ago.
I don't know if he remembers it after last night, dude.
Versus Tito Ortiz, number 3, and Oscar de la Hoya, another tie-in with boxing. He has Golden Boy Promotions, obviously a boxing promotion company. Decided he's going to try his hand at mixed martial arts. This is what he brought forth for a headliner was a 48-year-old Chuck Liddell versus 43-year-old Tito Ortiz. Now, the big difference is Tito's been active, though. Tito's old, but he's been active in Bellator. You know, he's been fighting the older guys in Bellator. Chuck's been sitting at a desk and maybe working out a couple times a week. He hasn't had a fight in 8 years, and his 3 fights he had on the way out the door were vicious knockouts.
Yeah, disgusting.
It was very terrible. Dana White was his friend. Dana White convinced him to retire, gave him a desk job.
He brought this to the UFC's attention originally, and the UFC said, no fucking way we want to see Chuck.
Yeah, they don't want to see that.
And
I'm just giving some backstory here in case people don't know Chuck's backstory, you know. And Chuck had that desk job. Dana told him he'd have a job for life.
Yep.
Then what happens?
WME comes in.
Yeah, UFC gets sold. WME, the talent agency of Hollywood, buys it. Promptly fires Chuck Liddell. Everybody's talking about the fact Chuck did this because he needed money.
Yep.
He got sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission.
Who the fuck knows how?
We all looked at Chuck working on the pads, and people kept thinking maybe he was sandbagging us, being so slow. No, that shouldn't have happened.
Then he's walking to the arena, and he's limping his way in.
And when he arrived with his great-great-great-great-grandchildren, I mean...
He's like, I know I told you guys the stories, but
dude, I love
tonight
Chuck.
I'm going to show you.
We all love Chuck, but and end result being Tito knocked him out in the first round viciously. It was terrible.
Well,
Chuck looked like a deer caught in the headlights.
He was put his hands up.
He was wooden. He didn't look like he knew how to throw a punch. He certainly didn't look like he knew how to slip a punch. Dude, he looked like a 48-year-old man that hadn't stepped in the octagon in 8 years. Were those punches?
Maybe 10.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
It was hard to watch, dude. Whoever told him he was ready to go back to octagon he should be.
I don't know
fucking fired.
What professionals looked at that man and said that he could go in there and compete. Yeah, that's fucked up.
That.
You can't blame Chuck for this. He's a fucking fighter. He wants that glory. He wants that feeling. That's what he does. That's why we have athletic commissions. That's why we have people that sanction this shit.
You wonder why his original team didn't want this.
Yeah, that's
the guys who rode with you your whole life tell you they don't want you to do this, and you go find a new gym that tells you, hey man, you could do this.
And let me tell you something. Fuck Oscar de la Hoya out there throwing shade at Dana White for telling Chuck to retire back in the day.
Yeah.
Fuck you. He had Chuck's best interests in mind. Are you kidding me?
Last night
you fucking should be ashamed letting that man in there and fight like that. What the hell, man?
Shit card all over.
It was a shit card up and down. But that fight was a travesty. And I mean, Jesus Christ.
That like 5 foot 205 or fucking beat Tom Lawler.
Chuck was 48 and he fought like a 65-year-old man. That was brutal.
Yeah, it was rough, man.
And then fucking Tito out there afterwards telling Chuck he should fight again for Golden Boy. No, you shouldn't fight ever again, Chuck.
No.
Dear God, you should get on the seminar circuit. You should start giving motivational speeches for fucking money, dude. You should talk to people about other ways.
Fucking fighting stories.
Fucking A.
Yeah, goddamn.
Like that's not good. That's no business fighting anybody else. Who's he gonna fight? Some fucking young up and comer.
Dude, I was telling you on Chael's podcast, he was talking about he's gonna fight.
Oh my God, you think? Yeah, tell the people what you think or what you heard is gonna happen.
Chael was talking about on his podcast that he has, like, he was like, I don't know, because I guess Chuck was talking about like that was one of his potential opponents, like after this
fighting Chael Sonnen.
Yeah,
in Bellator
with Brendan Schaub. He was.
I don't want to.
I think it was Brendan Schaub interview. He was talking about that. But he was saying Chael Sonnen would be like a logical next fight for him before this fight. And then Chael was talking about on his podcast, kind of sounded like this was something already kind of agreed on. And I hope everything from last night kind of derailed that plan. but
somebody needs to do for
Yeah.
Chuck what Joe Rogan did for Brendan Schaub.
oh god, yes.
Like, I mean, Dana already did it once back in the day, but he needs
Yep.
to do it again seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
That was sad to watch.
that was terrible, man. Fuck. So please, Oscar, don't exploit the old man anymore. Let's not fucking do this.
The wells run dry.
The well is run dry. It was a shit show. His press conference beforehand was a shit show. He couldn't even pronounce Chuck's name right.
Yeah, that's sad, dude.
It was all in all.
The
it was
arena
a
looked
terrible
empty
thing.
as fuck.
Yeah,
I
they
can't
wouldn't even
imagine-
show the crowd.
Yeah, I can't imagine it did too well.
No, I can't imagine that did a lot of paper. I mean, it probably got some hardcores, you know, people like us, MMA
Well, I
journalists.
mean, maybe because of that Black Friday sale.
They did a Black Friday sale. That was the most mispromoted thing. I mean, check this out, people. They put the Oscar De La Hoya puts the price at $39.99, and then says publicly they discounted it at $5. Then publicly says, hey, 3 days from now we're gonna put it on sale for $19.99 on Black Friday,
For just a couple hours.
and then doesn't wonder why sales stopped shortly after that announcement. Fuck. Oh. Like, anyways, let's move on to. There was a UFC
Let's,
event
move on to
earlier
the-
in the
yeah.
day. It was a UFC China
3
out
a.m.
of Shanghai, so
be
it was
honest.
3 a.m. here.
Yeah.
I openly admit to not watching this live. I did not get up at 3 a.m. and watch Francis Ngannou versus Curtis Blaydes.
I mean, I didn't either, but I did watch the replay, and it was a fucking.
Yeah, that was the
looked
main
good,
event.
man.
So let's give a little bit of a recap here for folks who may not know. Francis Ngannou was the next big thing until he fought then champ Stipe Miocic and got his ass handed to him. And then he proceeded to lose a stinker of a fight against Derek Lewis, and the hype just fell off him. So this was an important fight
ego
for
problems. There's a whole bunch of rumors coming out of the gym saying he only spars with middleweights because he doesn't like how hard heavyweight sparring partners punch.
him. Yeah, all kinds of
It's like
bad
kind
info.
of just a whole bunch of bad shit, and then honestly comes out and puts on his
Yeah,
best
Curtis
performance.
Blaydes is a surging contender, looking at a possible title shot. Had already
Had
lost
fought-
to Ngannou
yeah.
on a TKO off a cut, which he heavily protested at the time, but a loss is a loss.
Yeah.
Chance
But
for
he
him
got-
to redeem that loss and promptly got, KO'd in the first 40
Well, then-
seconds?
With everyone's logic here was you look at a guy like Blaydes, who's All-American college wrestler, and then you look at a guy like Ngannou, who just fought. This is when he was coming off Stipe, and people were like, "Man, if I'm Ngannou, I do not want to fight Blaydes again because Blaydes just saw me fight Stipe and saw my weaknesses, and he'll just do the same thing." But he tried. He tried to come out there and take down Ngannou. Ngannou just held him off, tested his range, got a good few leg kicks in. I think he threw like one body kick as well. And then fucking feasted, fucking put one right on his chin and put him to bed.
Yeah, I saw the highlights. He was...
I mean, and then also again, Blaydes fucking tried to protest the stoppage, but he gets dropped. He gets hit twice, kind of comes back up, gets dropped again, hit twice. As a fucking ref, you can't fucking allow that to continue. You're taking unanswered strikes with your hands down, and you're flopping all over the floor, dude. It's over.
Yeah, your head's bouncing on because a lot of people. You got to realize not only is he taking the blow from Ngannou, but then his head's hitting the fucking canvas.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're taking two shots there in
Yeah.
reality when you're down like that and getting ground and pounded. It's fucked up, and you can't let a 254-pound behemoth like Francis Ngannou pound on somebody's fucking dome.
And then
in
Francis,
good conscience.
I mean, after the win, he jumps on the mic, calls out Alexander Volkov, and calls out Stipe Miocic, which I don't think the Stipe one's a great idea. But I'll take Volkov,
That's an interesting fight.
Interesting
Volkov
one.
is a submission master who's not too bad on his feet either.
Nah, he's got all striking.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking
You're
of
thinking of Volinic.
I'm thinking of Volinic. Yeah.
Volkov is a fucking
No,
beast.
Volkov
He's
is.
fucking-
Yeah, that's right.
That's fucking.
This mistake brought to you by marijuana.
No, yeah. That's a good fight.
Yeah, no, that is
Well,
a good
then
fight.
in the
I like
co-main
that,
event,
yeah.
though, we had Alice Rovering, who looked like he was down and out of it, knock out the biggest heavyweight prospect that the UFC thought they had coming, and
Yes.
fucking now he's right back in the mix. He calls out Ngannou, says he wants a rematch. If you're
Alistair
the
Overeem,
UFC,
how many
does that make
lives
sense?
does this guy have? He just keeps he's out and done, and then he's back.
And everyone keeps bringing up, like, you got to think his chin's deteriorating. You got to think his chin's deteriorating. But then he just comes back and still finds ways to win. Although he doesn't have a great chin anymore, he still finds fucking ways to win some fights, man.
There's no denying it. I mean, and he's obviously, I mean, he's still very good. He fights a lot smarter these days, you know.
He does a lot of he fights very similar to like an Alexander Gustafsson.
Sure.
You know, he does a lot of those little runoff resets and shit like that. And when he's in trouble, he kind of just circles, you know what I mean?
Circles, resets, doesn't get wild. Yeah. Keeps himself a little safer, you know, than he used to.
Well, because you look at all his like knockouts are usually from huge shots or big flash knockouts. You know, he never really gets battered. I mean, he kind of did against Curtis Blaydes, but that was because he was on the bottom. But I mean, like, on his feet, he's pretty fucking good, man. I mean, obviously he's a former kickboxer and stuff, so got to take that into account. But he's ultimately still up there with some of the best heavyweights in the UFC. And I mean, yesterday he proved it, man. He proved that he is not done yet. And I mean, we still got a lot to see from him.
I'm looking forward to it, actually. Every time I think that dude should be cut, he does something good. So
right.
That's the weird thing about heavyweights is they can have these late career resurgences when they're old. Whereas,
well, yeah, because the heavyweight
old for an athlete, you know, 33, 34, 35. Look at Daniel Cormier. I mean, he's about to turn 40.
John Jones, everyone keeps talking about John Jones is done. John Jones could probably still fight for
John
another
Jones
6,
is
7
barely
years.
30. Yeah, he could fight for another 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Legit. But
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Randy Couture. There's been tons of older. Nogueira. There's been tons of older heavyweights.
And the difference is from Chuck Liddell, which we were talking about earlier, is Chuck stopped. Chuck had a terrible series of losses and then stopped.
Then stopped for what? 5
years,
7 years?
These are people like Overeem. Okay, he takes a loss, but then he comes back and does quite well.
Yeah. Well, and also Chuck's one of those guys too that was never really changed his style.
No, and then once people figured it out, it was like, okay.
He never evolved with the sport.
No.
Overeem has evolved with the sport.
He absolutely. He doesn't fight the same that he used to at all.
Guys like Machida have evolved with the sport. Guys like although he just retired, goddamn Vitor Belfort. You know, he completely changed his style halfway through his career.
Sure.
You know, so it really, we're seeing a lot of these older fighters that didn't do that start to fall off. You know, they're all starting to fall off the scene. It's sad, but
this is a brutal sport. I mean, we eat the old, the young eat the old, and then we throw them out and discard them, and then we drag them back for shit shows like fucking Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell.
We have a very, very similar thing coming up very soon. We'll get to that a little.
We'll get to that one. But we've got some cool fights next week. We're going to the fights here in Vegas next week, and we've got the Ultimate Fighter finale, headlined by a pretty important welterweight battle between Rafael dos Anjos and Kamaru Usman.
Honestly, this could be a title. I don't know if it's a title eliminator for Usman and a step back in the title picture for RDA.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be a fucking good fight, dude.
Dude, I'm excited. We're right up by the cage too.
Yeah,
we're right up by the cage. It's going to be an important fight. We're going to be there. So the rare Friday night fight here in Vegas. So that'll be a good time. It's at the Pearl inside the Palms.
That should be dope.
Yep, which is a long time Fertitta-owned casino. If you don't know the Fertitta family here, the former owners of the UFC, they own some like 23 or 24 casinos out here.
Yep.
And the Palms is one of them. They just bought that one in the last few years. Fucking fully renovated on the inside. It's pretty dope, dude.
It's gonna be sick. And it's like one of those arenas that's like super, like there's not a bad seat in the house.
No, it's a smaller arena. I've been there for several weigh-ins.
Yeah.
When they've had shows there before, and it's crazy.
Like a couple months ago.
Yeah. Like the weigh-ins I went to, it was like I was about 4 inches from the stage. like there's the fighter right there. Like I could touch your leg. It's pretty dope. You know, it's a great venue. We're excited for that shit too.
Hell yeah.
Should be a great fight. Who do you like?
Great card altogether.
Who do you like in the main event?
That's a tough one for me, man. Real tough one for me. come back to me. Let me hear who you got
All right,
first.
well, I'm gonna hit this bowl here. I loaded up some more of these Tropicana cookies, dude. Check out the color on this. This weed, if you've never seen Tropicana cookies before, folks,
shit.
it's purple with orange hairs and then a little bit of green leaves. So
Hell yeah.
here, maybe you can see it on camera.
Not really.
Not
Yeah,
really.
you can
sort of. It's dope weed though.
But, back to this fight.
But with this fight, I like RDA actually. I mean, everyone's riding the Usman train, honestly, and he's probably going to be favored. But Rafael dos Anjos has really looked good at this weight class. I think he's going to come in here prepared, and I think he's the type of fighter that could stuff the takedowns from Usman. Not all of them. I think he's going to go down, but I think he can stuff a lot of them. And I think when he does go down, his jiu-jitsu is very high level, and he can cause some serious problems.
Here's my thing.
What do you think?
Usman's pressure is going to be big because we watch this, like, Colby Covington and Eddie Alvarez have written the book on how to beat RDA. Just pressure the fuck out of him. He doesn't handle pressure very well. It's very strange.
He
someone
doesn't.
who can,
At least not at this weight class.
Tends to get these high level fights and wins probably, 70% of them. He's not very good under pressure. Like, literally Eddie Alvarez just walked him down, knocked his ass out. Colby Covington walked him down, didn't have enough power to knock him out, but he walked him down for 5 fucking rounds and just pressured him into the cage, took him down, and just freaking pounded him. And I honestly honestly, it's so weird because they've almost give Usman and Colby the same fucking, ladder to the title shot. Because
they are fighting a lot of the same opponents coming along.
They both fought. Damian Maia fights Colby, loses to Colby. Then he fights Usman. Usman gives him literally the same performance Colby did.
He did.
And then wins that. And now if he gives the same performance against RDA, how do you not give him a title shot? Or maybe Ben Askren.
No, that could be interesting. If Askren were to beat Robbie Lawler and then face Usman, that would be a very interesting fight if Usman were to win this one.
Well,
I don't know. I see a bounce back for Dos Anjos here. I think he's going to bounce back from that Covington loss, and like you said, he's facing a very similar fighter. And you're right, he has had problems with that in the past, and Alvarez did use that. Alvarez
just walked down and picked.
I don't want to take anything away from Alvarez, and I don't mean it as an excuse, but I think that RDA by that time, as the champ of the 155 division, he had bulked up so much that weight cut was getting so brutal. He's hitting here depleted, and I think it's just a little bit more susceptible to getting KO'd when you're fighting a little bit depleted. And again, I'm not trying to give excuses for him losing. I'm just trying to look at the reality that I think he might be a little bit easier to KO when he's at 155 than he is at 170 because he's not the same fighter he was. He evolved. He used to be a skinny little dude. Now he's fucking Frankenstein.
Yeah,
he's big. He's a lot bulkier and thicker.
But I think that's part of his problem at welterweight too, because Usman's gonna come in a lot. I mean, I can't speak to the amount of actual strength Dos Anjos has, but Usman's got some fucking straight wrestler strength. You know what I mean?
He's got that wrestler strength.
He's got that core strength where he just fucking takes people down and they just can't get up. It's like there's just something. There's like a bear on top of them. You know what I mean? He's got that mauling kind of style where it was like there's just. I feel like if he wants to, he's gonna take him down, and there's nothing RDA is gonna do about it. Is my thing, and we've kind of seen this in a lot of Usman's fights. We've a lot of fights where he's fought pretty solid strikers, and people like RDA who are pretty good on bottom. And he just seems to just maul him every time. He just seems to. There's nothing people can do. That's why I'm so curious to see where he goes from here. Because last weekend we saw Magny and Ponzinibbio, and Ponzinibbio put on a great performance. And
he did.
I'd say
beat the shit out of Neil Magny.
And I'd say if Usman doesn't get a title shot,
that could be a fight.
Very likely be his next fight.
God. That'd be nasty.
That'd be a good fucking fight. But then again, I think Usman has got the perfect fucking style to beat people on the scorecards. There's certain guys that just have a style that as a judge you can't really Like they don't lose like fights.
He looks
they
like
don't
he's
necessarily
dominating all the
win
time.
fights.
Yeah,
either.
but it looks like he's dominating
Exactly.
positions. He's
Exactly.
advancing forward and he's on top. Yeah.
He just keeps the fight is at his pace constantly. You know what I'm saying? And I
Sure,
think that's going to be
absolutely.
real big when he gets up into these like, especially like now he's in a main event, so we're talking a 5-round fight, and I think that pace is going to be huge in a 5-round fight because maybe he doesn't take you down every single time, but if he takes you down 4 or 5 times inside of 3 rounds, that's all he needs to win the fight.
Right.
And that's big when you're talking about 5-round fights. And I think that's just going to be a hard thing for RDA to overcome.
It'll be an exciting fight either way. I hope it's...
We'll be there for it.
Yeah, we'll be right up front for that shit.
Then there's a pretty sick fucking co-main event too. You got Brian Caraway and Pedro Munoz. That's a pretty good fight right there.
Is that the co-main, or is the co-main going to technically be the TUF finale?
It might be the TUF finale, but sometimes they do shuffle them into the
Like, yeah, Caraway, Pedro Munoz would have been the co-main, but I think we're going to get that fight, and then likely we're going to get the women's featherweight TUF finale finalists, and then the men's heavyweight TUF finale finalists, and then Usman.
That could be it. Or I've seen before that they start the pay-per-view.
Yeah, sometimes they do
or
that
not pay-per-view
too.
with the card.
This is since we got 2, but this is a season where we have 2 TUF titles being put out.
We should know in the next couple of days.
If you don't know what TUF is, folks, if you listen, it's a TV show. It's called The Ultimate Fighter. It's I guess it qualifies as a reality show.
Yeah.
It's on the Paramount Network. A bunch of fighters compete.
It's on fucking Fox Sports 1.
Is it on Fox Sports 1?
Yeah.
When did they move it to there? I thought it was on Spike, which became Paramount.
Nah.
Really? See, I don't fucking watch it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, sometimes I catch the episodes on Fight Pass. You know.
Yeah, it's strange though. They like barely update them on Fight Pass.
Yeah, they don't update them very often, and I don't have. Dude, the fights are just terrible. I tried to watch some of this season, and they're not good fights. I want them. I want to be good. I want to support the fighters, but
they don't even count towards your record.
They don't count towards. Yeah, they're all technically exhibitions, and it is what it is. It's in what is it? It's 28th season now. I mean, a lot of people say that shit's run its course, but I guess they're continuing it with the ESPN.
See, it's not that I think it has run its course. What I think is it just needs to be revamped. It needs to be changed up a little bit. Yeah. I think that's why the Dana White Tuesday Night Fights has become so big, is because it's like everything they wanted from the Ultimate Fighter, but just not everything. Everything nowadays is so I need it now, and when you have a 12-week show, it's kind of gets it's kind of people lose interest. So like
you got to have really strong because the fights are like
if they were just constantly rotating guys in and out of that show, I think it would be.
If you don't have really interesting people on the show, the fights are the last fucking 15 minutes of an hour-long episode. Yeah. What are you watching for?
Exactly.
I mean, and in this format, they seem to think interesting means give them alcohol and watch them act a fool. Yeah. Which that shit played itself out a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can only watch so many drunk street fights that are super technical.
Right. But there's some other fights on the card. We got Brian Caraway, which you talked about, versus Pedro Munoz. That's good. We got Antonia Shevchenko, Bullet Valentina Shevchenko's sister, making her UFC debut, which is pretty exciting. I'm down with that. We got Joseph Benavidez, who we've had the pleasure of meeting a couple times in the past.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Going to be fighting Alex Perez. So
I don't really know much about Perez, but
I don't know much about him either. But any Joseph Benavidez fight's going to be an exciting fight. Yeah, so we got Tim Means is on the card.
Yep.
I like the Dirty Bird.
Yeah.
That dude's cool. One of the few fighters to get that failed drug test overturned to a tainted supplement and prove it.
It's so strange though because USADA still suspended him though.
I know. How do you get suspended when they're like, oh yeah, whoops? They say technically because you're responsible for what you put in your body. That's what I read. That he still took it, but Jesus Christ, Yeah. Some people
put so many variables that you can control, dude. Come on.
Seriously. So that's going to be an exciting card though.
Yeah.
So that'll be some cool shit. And then what do we got after that? We got
we got the rare weekend of a 2-card weekend coming up. I mean, not only do we have that big Wilder Fury fight, but on that same night, we have the card from Australia with Junior Dos Santos versus Tai Tuivasa, which is fucking big.
A couple of heavyweights. Junior, the former champion. Tuivasa, the surging young prospect. He's a bad
really
man.
He's really like the only fucking big prospect in the heavyweight division when you think about it. Everyone's kind of fought each other. Everything's kind of took its course. Where this Tuivasa dude has never fought. He hasn't fought anybody.
Orlovsky.
Yeah, but I mean, like, as far as the bigger guys, you know.
Yeah, he's a beast though. Knockout artist. He's one of these just naturally big guys. He's not like JDS is a lot more muscular. He bulks up to that weight class. This dude is just naturally gifted, bombs in his hands. Mark Hunt's
like little brother.
Quite a reputation as a street fighter in Aussie over there.
He does fucking shoeies all the time.
He does shoeies. You know what a shoey is, folks?
It's gross.
You take off your shoe and you fill it with beer or somebody else's shoe they hand you, dirty shoe.
And you fucking spit in it.
And you spit in it.
And then you drink it.
And then you drink the beer and the spit out of the shoe.
Fucking nasty, but I feel it. Seems like a party trick.
That's some Aussie
intense shit.
I'd say.
Yeah. But dude,
I might smoke a lot of weed. I'm not going to smoke enough weed that I'm ever going to do a shoey.
Hey, but you better get used to it, dog, because...
Would you do a shoey if Tuivasa comes on the show?
Yeah.
We'll do a shoey.
That's what Brendan Schaub did, dude. Brendan Schaub did it. It was fucking rough, dude. I was watching. I was like, oh, no. And they, dude, Tuivasa fucking...
Was it Brendan's own shoe?
In it,
oh,
dude.
Hell no.
He's... Oh, it was disgusting.
I can't fuck with a loogie.
Oh, dude, it's rough.
I can't swallow my own loogie spit into some shit, let alone somebody else's.
Dude, you better get used to this shit because it's taking over, dog.
He's going to win. The Aussie. Dude, Australian fighters, New Zealand fighters from that little zone, man, they're all over the place. We had a big announcement of a fight, dude. Let's talk about that big announcement. What was it?
Well, not only did we get the announcement that Kevin Gastelum and Robert Whittaker are going to be fighting on February 10th in Melbourne, Australia.
Which we knew was going to be made, but we didn't have a solidified date.
Yeah.
Because they are the two coaches on the TUF finale, which we were just talking about.
Let's give a little backstory of this next one. So going into Madison Square Garden, a certain somebody put on a hell of a performance and knocked Derek Bumson out in the first round.
Israel Adesanya
put on a hell of a
style
performance.
bender.
But here's the problem. Was in the co-main event, there was a fight with Chris Weidman where Chris Weidman was promised to be, the alternate if he were to defeat Jacare Souza. Unfortunately, things didn't go his way.
Right, as we discussed last episode.
Yeah. So then the UFC comes to Israel Adesanya and they say, hey, things fell out with Chris Weidman. We'd like you to come in, do a training camp, do all that stuff, and possibly
be the backup fighter, right?
Yeah, to possibly replace somebody in
case Whittaker or
fuck that. Yeah,
Gastelum got injured.
Yeah, he basically said no, fuck that. I'm not doing a training camp for nothing. If you want me to fight on this card and be an alternate, give me someone to fight either way. And the UFC said okay.
Yep, they gave him who he wanted too.
With Anderson fucking Silva.
Anderson Silva.
Israel Adesanya on the fucking co-main event. This is the biggest passing of the torch fight in UFC history.
Now, folks, if you don't know who Anderson Silva is, he is the former.
Close the fucking window.
He's the former UFC middleweight champion. 16 title defenses, 16 straight victories. 10 title defenses.
The fucking GOAT.
The greatest fighter of all time. Little bit past his prime now, but not to throw too much shade on him. He is still Anderson fucking Silva.
He's still got a hell of a fucking chance to make a big fucking statement here.
Yeah.
Although this is Israel Adesanya's moment, and this is going to be the fucking fight that makes him shoot into the fucking stratosphere.
He's without a doubt the greatest middleweight of all time.
Yeah, so when you look at Adesanya, he's starting to get his huge social media following. He's on Complex Magazine and all that bullshit. Now he fucking wins this fight, he will be bigger than the champion.
Yeah,
he will be bigger than Robert Whittaker.
That'll be the next fight.
He will be bigger than Robert Whittaker after this fight. He will be the people's champion if he beats.
And they're both from the same area,
Anderson
too.
Silva. And in the same breath, if Anderson Silva somehow pulls this off, he deserves, like, unfortunately.
Yeah, he will have thrust his old ass right back into the title picture.
Exactly. I don't give a fuck what anybody else says. There's no fresh blood in this middleweight division. And who the fuck does not want to see Anderson Silva fight for a UFC title, no matter how old he is? I mean, I know
he's still very well skilled.
Exactly.
It's different.
He is not Anderson Silva of old that's going to take some shots and fucking, come back with some nasty kicks and everything like that. But he is an Anderson Silva that is calculated and is ready to explode at any moment. And you better be on your P's and Q's, because if you're not, you're going to... Very similar to when he fought Bisping. Unfortunately, they didn't call it a knockout, but that fight was very inactive until, boom, knees him in the head, knocks him down. I mean,
right at the end of, round 2 or 3?
Yeah, something like that.
Round 3, I believe.
So, I mean... This is a coming
Anderson
out
is still a highly competitive fighter. He's ranked in the top 10 for sure.
I want to say he's number 7. He also is coming off a win from Derek Brunson.
Right. So it's very it's a great fight.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's a great fight. And it's a natural if something happens to someone in the main event
to fall out.
Then Adesanya can step up.
Adesanya steps in.
Should he desire to do so and take that title shot.
Come in and make sure you're coming in weighing 185
But let's hope that doesn't happen.
On the dot, son. That's
we
all
don't
I
want that
say.
to happen.
All I gotta say is whether you're Anderson Silva or Israel Adesanya, you better come into that fucking pay-per-view weighing 185 on the dot, just in case.
Yep, because they have to make that championship
because
weight
in the same breath, dude,
case.
Israel Adesanya comes in at 185.2. Anderson Silva shows up on weight.
He'll get that fight. Adesanya couldn't.
He will get the fight.
Yeah, if you don't know, for the championship fight, you're usually allowed a 1 pound allowance. You can weigh 186 in a 185 fight, but in a title fight, it's 185. Period.
Championship weight, son.
Or under. You can come in a little under.
Yeah.
But so that's just a complete Aussie takeover is really going on right now.
Well, because
we got Mark Hunt fighting still.
Mark Hunt.
Yep.
Walks the octagon for his final time on Saturday. It'll be it's crazy, man. It's like the biggest like promoter of this like takeover, the kind of guy who started it all.
Yeah, he's the man.
That region of the world in MMA, at least. He's taking a step away as the fucking Aussie revolution begins, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy because now, then we also have Tyson Pedro, who's fighting Shogun on this card too. So each one of these younger guys has a big fucking chance to make their name in this company. But at the same time, it all could be burned to the ground. It all could be burned to the ground because every single fight in this list is extremely competitive.
Yeah, you can make a case for the young guy or the older, more seasoned veterans winning in any of these scenarios. And either way,
JDS
it's not really going to be that much of a surprise.
On anybody's chin in the heavyweight division.
Junior Dos Santos, he's a bit diminished after his wars with Cain, but he's still Junior Dos Santos. Man.
He also knocked out Stipe
motherfucker. He knocked out Stipe recently.
It's fucking. Here's the thing, people can say what they want about JDS, like he got lucky and stuff the first time he fought Cain. A lot of people say that, but at the end of the day, that fool's a former champion, has knocked out multiple former champions, and it can knock anybody out in that division.
Yeah, he's still got some of the best boxing in the heavyweight division. I mean, he can trade hands with anybody.
Anyone. I mean, and then Mark Hunt makes his farewell fight against Justin Willis. I don't like this fight for Hunt again.
No.
But
Justin Willis could win this fight. Mark Hunt could sleep anybody, but you think Hunt's going to keep fighting?
No, he said this is it.
Well, I know he's done in the UFC, but you think he's going to go fight somewhere else?
I think he said this is it. This is it.
His final. And a lot of fighters say that, though. I know he's not going to come back to the UFC. He's still actively suing them. But
yeah, I could honestly see him end up in a Bellator, fucking ACB, something like that, in the near future.
Maybe he'll do some bare-knuckle boxing.
Dude, that'd be cool.
That'd be sick.
That'd be pretty dope.
I would love to see that, actually.
Hopefully, in this next fight, Shogun versus Tyson Pedro. Hopefully, this is Shogun's last fight as well, dude.
I still find it amazing Shogun is around. You think he's like
He's
45?
not that far off from getting fucking blasted by Anthony Smith.
Dude,
either.
he's only
what
like,
the fuck is
what,
he doing
34 or something like that? Shogun's not that old, but he's like 95 in fighter years.
Yeah, he's been through some fucking wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is battle tested.
For sure.
Definitely not what he used to be, though. I'll tell you that. And I don't know why he took a fight this quick after getting fucking his brain rattled by Anthony Smith.
Oh, man, that was brutal, too.
So I don't know how
Anthony
much
Smith
I like this
laid
fight for him.
him
Tyson
out.
Pedro's a serious striker.
Tyson Pedro could fucking put him away.
And that'll shoot Tyson Pedro up there, too. All these
the beauty
boys
of
coming
MMA.
up, dude.
Yeah.
But then again,
got a big
look at it
change
this
of
way.
the guard
Look at it
going
this way,
on,
though.
man.
Also, Shogun's also battle tested and can put Tyson Pedro away. And Mark Hunt could lose his fight. Tuivasa could lose his fight. Whitaker could lose to Gaslam. And Israel Adesanya could lose to Silva. And then fucking 2 months from now, all these guys don't mean shit.
That's the crazy thing about mixed martial arts.
That is the core. That is what this sport is. That's why people love this shit.
I got to tell you, as a fan, I want the
want them
turnover,
all to
man.
win also.
I want all the young guys.
all
I want to
to
see
win.
Tuivasa win. I definitely want
I want
to
to
see
see
Izzy
Whitaker
win.
I want to see Izzy win.
Absolutely,
I want to see them
man.
all win.
I want all that shit too.
Because I want that fucking Adesanya Whitaker fight.
Oh, I do too. That'd be probably the biggest
In
fight in
Australia too, dude.
Yeah.
That'll sell out a soccer stadium.
Dude, I love Kevin Gastelum. I'd love to see him as champ too, but I still think he's better suited at 170.
I think
But
he's
he's
going
fighting
to be.
for a title at 185. What the fuck do I know?
We've talked about this in the past, and I mean, if that 165 division comes in, that's a serious option for Gastelum.
Absolutely, because he's not tall. He's God. The guy's like I stood next to him. He's like a half inch shorter than me. It blew me away. He's fighting guys
Well, here's the
monstrous
thing, too.
sized compared to
Robert Whitaker is a fucking meat grinder. He doesn't care what is hurt on him. He's going to go out there and he's going to give you all he's got.
Yeah, he took serious punishment
And-
from Romero and just kept right on
Dude,
going.
he fucking fought. Dude, he beat Romero with one hand and then beat him with one leg.
I know.
God damn, dude.
Beast.
He's a fucking beast. And then dude,
Boys are no joke down there.
if he could just stop getting injured so much, he could be so big. Because if he could just start fighting more regularly and get his name out there, Whitaker could be one of the biggest fighters ever. Because he's beat some fucking... He beat
He's
serious guys. He's got some serious names on his resume.
Absolutely.
You know?
He's a beast. I'm excited for the future. We got a lot of young stars coming up, which is it seems like we always hit this point in MMA where you can see the current crop of guys getting older and you don't see anybody on the horizon. I mean, I swear to God, it was 8 months ago we were like,
Jesus
dude, what's going on? The UFC is terrible. There's no stars. Connor's never going to come back, and he's the only buddy that's left. Ronda pieced out. Anderson's done. You know, and now here we are at the end of the year. We're looking at a card.
We're looking at a card like that.
Everybody's
and
filled
then we
with
got
young
John
stars
Jones
taking over.
Gustafson coming up. We got Ben Askren showing up in the UFC.
Ben Askren showing up.
The UFC is now talking about signing one of the Gracie's son.
Yeah.
Hickson's son, right?
Yeah, Kron.
Kron, yep.
Yeah.
They're talking about signing Kron too, and he's supposed to fight on that same card as Ben Askren.
Oh man, that could set up
Shit
some fun
is
times,
changing,
man.
man.
So I love it. That part is good.
Honestly, man, we've been talking about this, like how much WME has been doing shitty work. This is honestly some of the best work they've been putting together recently.
See, I was just thinking that, but I was thinking that in the opposite direction. I was thinking, despite WME being bungling idiots, the fighters themselves, through their sheer fucking talent, have risen to the occasion and saved a lot of the UFC.
Work with Israel Adesanya's getting him out there.
But there's some good matchmaking out there. But there's some good matchmaking going on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And those are, you know, after what's his name left? Silva. After Joe Silva left, you know, they brought in old boy. They promoted the one guy that was there with him, and they brought in the other guy from Bellator, and they're doing fine work. Nick Maynard and
Sean Shelby.
And Sean Shelby, yeah. And I think they should get a lot of that credit. And those aren't WME guys. But
they've been doing some serious work.
I like to hate on William Morris Endeavor. Well, all right. I think that about brings the show to a close for today, Paul. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you are listening to us on WBUZ 95. Our show is on Thursday nights, 8 p.m., radio.net, or the Orange Radio app. You can also find us, of course, on iTunes, Google Play, video on YouTube, all that cool
subscribe
info.
Button, like button,
Absolutely.
all that good stuff. Go check out our articles on slugfestmagazine.com.
Everything else is at SWATMMA.com.
Sounds good.
Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Later.